Right, welcome to another episode of the Obstacle Race Magazine podcast. We are now on episode 13. We've got Kevin along for the ride again as usual.
Evening, Carl.
Good evening. For those that don't know him, he's my partner in crime at the magazine and also the RD for Mud7, our in-house event. So in this feature-length episode, we have Paul Cocksedge joining us. Paul is the regional sales manager for Matrix Fitness by day. He's probably best known in the OCR scene for setting up the training centre Cliff Lakes in the Midlands, the Cliff Lakes race team, the OCR girls race team, and more recently his new training facility, the No Excuses Gym, which is also in the Midlands. So, welcome onto the podcast, Paul.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Good evening.
Good evening. So, I suppose we might as well start off nice and easy. To help people to get to know a little bit more about you, so what got you into the OCR world in the first place, and sort of where did it all begin for you?
Okay, so back in 2010, I did my first OCR, really a bit of an unknown. I didn't know what I was getting into. It was the Nottingham Survival of the Fittest. Just a bit of a run out with some friends. Off we went, and the rest is history, as they say. So yeah, got the bug.
I think I first spoke to you, Paul, was through the Simon's Heroes charity.
It was indeed.
And I think there used to be big groups of Simon's Heroes going to the OCR events, and I came along for a training night. I remember one night with the Simon's Heroes, and we ended up pairing up. I think that was the first time we got to spend some time together. But it was it was great.
Good times they were. So Simon's Heroes was a group of people that got together. We trained every Sunday and Thursday evenings, and they entered wolf runs and basically raising money for children that, with lifelong illnesses and things like that, just helping the local community. So we got more members on board. Wolf Run was the starting point and got more members to that. It was started by Mark Bennett and Simon McNeely, and we literally just a group of friends started. I think they started with 8 or 10 of them, and then we got up. Our biggest numbers were about 80 people to an event. So yeah,
I remember Mud7 the first year. There's quite a big team of heroes there.
Yeah,
all with your red t-shirts on.
It was great. We did the Suffering, we did Wolf Run, we did Mud7. Some fantastic times and great memories.
Yeah, I think we did Muddy Furlong as well, because Muddy Furlong at the time was a family event, so it was one where the kids could get involved. So I remember, it's on the Epic Action Imagery site now. If you'll have a look at the Muddy Furlong old photos of all the kids and the adults all warming up together and running off. Plus, we still see a lot of the peoples from the Simon's Heroes group from then on the OCR scene. Might not be wearing the Heroes t-shirts anymore, but you still see them around at different events, which is good.
Absolutely, and they're still going strong as a recognised charity in the local area. They help so many kids. It's really good. They've got some members now that have changed roles, and they get chairman, and they get they do the whole committee thing, and they're still raising money. They still get sponsors in, and they're racing road races more, not so much OCRs anymore. So they'll do marathons and different other projects that they're working on.
So, Paul, with your work with Simon's Heroes, and obviously getting quite a few events under your belt with the team, and as you started to branch into OCR on your own, sort of came along Cliff Lakes OCR training a little bit further down, the facility that you ran for a fair few years in the Midlands. There you've also helped and hosted and organised events with different companies, put on obviously regular training sessions on what is basically a full-size OCR course in terms of obstacles, but in a single field, so you can get the experience of practicing on all these different obstacles and what have you, but all in a shorter sort of distance, which made it perfect for training. Obviously, in winter time, you've got to be able to do a little bit of water acclimatization training, also head torch runs and whatever, because the venue were quite good for for running around and the different terrains. Spartan actually held an event there as well. I'm not sure if people
back in
know
2012, we had
yeah.
Spartan at Cliff Lakes, which triggered really my interest in Cliff Lakes moving forward. So the business plan was, and the vision was, to create a training facility. After my time with Simon's Heroes, I gave that up as a trustee, and then stepped back from that. At the time, one of our friends got poorly and unfortunately passed away, Karen, and I did all of my OCRs with Karen. And when I went to see her before she passed away, she said, "Look, just promise me you'll always try and help people on their journey," which is what I've tried to keep doing, to be honest.
Yeah, and you must have had. I can't even guess myself, but I'm guessing you've got a rough idea of how many people have trained there over years, and it's been a fair few, because it was the perfect sort of place for anyone starting out to get a taste of.
Yeah, I mean,
what to expect.
we've been running 5 years, so
yeah.
Even with forms filled out that I have to keep for legal reasons and all the rest of it, medical and membership forms and all the rest, there's been over 3,000 people through the door training.
Wow. So definitely a lot. And then you've obviously hosted events and helped events to host their events there, helped organise it and what have you as well. So that's even more people.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do that on my own, and I certainly won't take praise for that on my own. The team that I put around me were just phenomenal. They go above and beyond. Louise has been with me since I was at little school all the way through. Tress, I've known him some 30 years. Griff, since Simon's Heroes. Nick Nat came along to Cliff Lakes as somebody to just wanted to run around and do something. Her confidence levels were low. She won't mind me saying that, and it's built her up. And then I asked if she wanted to be part of the crew and help me run it. And with those people around me, anything was possible. And
so
then
what
a couple of years,
they make you look really good.
Well, they do a really good job of that. They are just unbelievable, really. They're very selfless people. They'll go above and beyond to help anybody out there. And whenever I ask the question if they could do it, yeah, always. And then a couple of years on from that, Eddie came along, and then we were just babysitting him from then on in.
So Eddie, more recently, you've as things are sort of moving away from Cliff Lakes, as new fresh things or challenges are coming along, you've got the No Excuses training facility that's also in the Midlands, and is that something that's set up along with Eddie?
Yeah.
The
so
No Excuses.
A couple of years ago, we made the decision, myself, Louise, and Eddie, to set up a separate company if anything was to go wrong with Cliff Lakes. We set up No Excuses Fitness. We needed something to fall back on if anything happened with the land, or if they changed their mind, or if we changed our mind. So from there, myself and Eddie found a facility that we could train people indoors. And of course, with my work background now being in Matrix Fitness, it was quite handy and easy to get hold of gym equipment, second-hand or used, refurbed. So we kitted out a facility for the indoor side of things for when the weather was really too bad and people didn't want to come and train outdoors for that week, but they wanted to work on their fitness. It was important for us to have a facility indoors. There's about 6-7 miles between the lake and No Excuses Fitness, so it's not too far.
Yeah. So it's in terms of what it has to offer. Then is I know it's quite difficult to try and encompass something that does so many different bits and pieces. But if you were to try and sell No Excuses to someone in terms of like sign up for this gym membership, blah de blah, how would, in a short, sharp way, how would you describe to them what it has on offer at No Excuses?
Okay, so No Excuses Fitness we've got a studio basically with cardio equipment. We've also got an indoor rig, all the attachments from Herc hoist to gibbons to rings to monkey bars. That's all on the rig. We have a couple of air bikes. We have cross trainers. We've got a treadmill. We've got ski ergs, Concept 2 rowers. So we've got everything that can give you an all-round workout on the cardio. And we've also got many other things in there that will help with OCR. We are making a few adaptations outside, so we'll have a rope climb out there to go with the rig indoors. We'll have spear throw down there as well. But we've got fantastic trail runs on our doorstep with Pooley Park, which is a great country park with trail runs and a massive hill that we can get all their hill work sorted.
Yeah, which is obviously hill work. If people don't really add it into their training, it's basically speed training in disguise. Yeah. It's obviously really good for grit as well. So with all this kit that you've been able to put into this facility, I suppose we've got to ask, what's your favourite bit of kit that you've been able to put in there?
The ski erg.
Ski erg, why?
There's so many variations of a ski erg that you can use it. The different exercises that you can do.
Can I be ignorant and say I don't know what a ski erg is, so can you explain?
Google ski erg.
Is it sort of where you pretend to ski and so you're doing your arms and scoots in your legs or something like that?
Well, you'll do
like
a
cross-country skiing.
You could do a deep
virtual
squat, or you could stand straight up and just roll your arms with it. But there's the Concept 2 rower, and then there's the Concept ski erg. So those two bits of kit are really important to us, and my favourite bits of kit, especially with the challenges that we're now doing. We do a 30-second ski erg challenge.
Yeah.
So anyone can get on it. Level 10, 30 seconds, as many metres as you can.
Yeah. Because there is quite a well-based competition side behind the Concept pieces of kit anyway, isn't there, as well? Like rowing, there's indoor rowing championships and things.
Mark Bennett set up, from the OCR community, set up the OCR Rowers 2,000 metre challenge site, if ever you're on Facebook and you take a look at that. So there's actually an ongoing competition for the 2,000 metres, but there's also 500 metres that he's brought in, and people get technique tips and things like that. It's quite a nice little community that he's done, and he's done a leaderboard, top 10 or top 15 now, where you can see where you compare. So 2,000 metres, 7.5 minutes I think I'm at the moment.
And is that for the normal row?
The rowing, yeah. The Concept 2 rowing challenge.
Because a ski erg is basically a rowing machine leant up on its back up against the wall, but instead of the one cable attached to the sort of row
two
piece,
handles, yeah.
It is, yeah. It's two
pulling
splits, so
in
you're
a
pulling it
pull-down
downwards,
motion.
aren't you?
Yeah.
As if you're doing that skiing motion.
There you go. Kevin's Googled it.
That's it for you, Kevin. Especially
for everyone
you.
Listening at home, Kevin's holding a video of someone ski erging.
They actually had ski ergs at the Spartan Beast at Brands Hatch as one of the final obstacles, which was 2012, maybe 12, I think it was.
Maybe 13 on that.
Yeah, something like that. And they had it as, I think it was pretty much very close to the end. And I absolutely loved it, because if you've got a decent amount of upper body strength and you can pull down, and then you've got a decent amount of weight behind you to be able to sort of anchor yourself, you can really it's good. Because people may not know, but you are a tyre pulling champion as well, Paul. You are still at the top of our leaderboard for OCR Community Training Days as the tyre pulling champion, and no one can take that away from you.
Well, there we go. I'd rather be that than the cake king, to be honest.
You'll never.
Although
take
looking
that
at the size of me, you'd think I was the cake king.
Because I think when you started setting up Cliff Lakes, obviously we talk about that, the tyre pull. We used to do training days at the obstacle gym in Lutterworth.
We did.
Which again was a fantastic facility.
Great facility.
I think you were starting to put all the Cliff Lakes stuff into motion before I think that came out. So when Cliff Lakes suddenly appeared, we had two great venues in the Midlands.
Yeah.
Sadly, the obstacle gym's not. Well, it's still there, but it's not open for business anymore.
No, I understand that, and it's a shame that that's going. But there are other facilities that are opening up lately that are fantastic to see, and they're catering for all abilities as well, which is great.
Yeah, definitely. And it is exciting to see where No Excuses takes you and the team. And so I'm assuming the team that you've built up is in the racing team around Cliff Lakes and the community team. Is that also being basically just moving over to the No Excuses team?
Yeah, I've had a chat with the team, the race team, and it's just a name. The team will stay. We've got 26 race team members. We've got 10 female and 16 males in there, all of different age categories, which is great. The team are good with it. They support us with what we do, and it'll just be a transition of a name across the front of the logo. The blue vest will still stay. We're strong with that. Everybody recognises the blue vests of Cliff Lakes racing past them. So.
Yeah, they definitely do. It's one of there's only one of two, and you can usually guess that it's going to be Cliff Lakes if you see a blue top.
But if you've also noticed on that car that the No Excuses brand has been around for the last few years on all of our tops, because that's what we had on the back of them. So it's purposely there.
Yeah. So there's no massive new marketing budgets having to be put into place to be able to.
But we will be adding the extraordinary Team Jack logo to all of our tops moving forward, because that's the charity that we're supporting this year and ongoing.
Yeah, which is obviously a worthwhile one, and it's centred with someone who is massively ingrained into the OCR community as well. So it's nice to give back there. So in terms of you spoke about the split, 10 ladies to 16 men or what have you. Sort of moving on a little bit from that in terms of genders and what have you. You set up the OCR girls, and that was like you could see that it was a real passion project for you. And with your daughter being part of the team, it also made it sort of a personal investment and project for you as well. And from there, obviously, the OCR girls then evolved into then there being OCR boys as well. For people who don't know, how did the OCR girls and eventually the OCR boys and on to now OCR juniors as well, how did it all come about? What was the idea behind that?
Okay, so with having Amelia racing with me, she took that up. Well, it was never forced. It was something that she
Amelia,
watched.
your daughter, is
Amelia's
that? Sorry.
my daughter, yeah.
Yeah.
So she decided that she wanted to come training, that she wanted to enter an obstacle course race at some point. So we got her ready for that. I was also training we'd got juniors down with us and coming along to Cliff Lakes, and Evie Waring being another one, Emma's daughter. And also we'd got Jess Cope on the Cliff Lakes team at the time. So she was sporting the blue vest, going around very good. So we started with the 3 girls. We've now got over 30 internationally, plus the boys and the juniors team. So it was quite remarkable how we've started up 4 years ago with an idea that's now we've got over 30 international. We are the largest junior team program in the UK, the only international junior team. It's created to provide a pathway for development with the OCR for juniors. That was always in mind, especially with Emma at the forefront of that. It was to create awareness for races, to provide more junior and family waves, and to offer support network to parents whose children wanted to compete in the sport that we love. There was just not enough of it. There was the excuses of we can't get the insurance, we can't take kids under 16 or anything like that. And that's not the case. You can. We've proven that.
I think from our point of view, we're like Mud 7. We've thought about it so many times, but in terms of the logistics of what that already is, it makes it really difficult for us to have like a junior aspect added on as well. But I think you're right to be putting so much focus into the juniors, because obviously they are the next generation of people who are going to be competing within the OCR circuit in the first place.
Yeah.
So in terms of the juniors, do you get many who come along and want to be part of the team, like brought along by the mums and dads whose parents maybe don't take part in OCR at all?
We do, but what we've done is we set it up from the beginning, following the correct governance in terms of a code of conduct, welfare and safeguarding policy. That's what we've got. We've got a mission statement. We may not be recognised sport yet, but what we are is our teams will comply to the expected standards. So when we've set up the junior team to then progress to either OCR boys or OCR girls for the competitive side of things.
Yeah. And it has been good because it's definitely helped in terms of exposure for the younger racers, the ones who do want to take it a little bit more seriously, like your own daughter and others who are coming into that age bracket where they are able to compete and they're actually jumping from taking part in junior races to then being thrown into what are basically the adult competitions. And without the OCR juniors or OCR girls or OCR boys, they would have basically gone from what are as fun runs or little basic kids runs that are probably, a lot of them are aimed at much younger age groups. They jump from being on those courses to all of a sudden being on a competition. Yeah, exactly, which is a big step. Whereas OCR juniors, you can see, and OCR girls and OCR boys, you can see how it would bridge that gap. So it's not such a big culture shock for them to going into these sort of competition environments. And
I've seen the kids being competitive as well, because it's beaten out of them so much at school about the taking part. I still love the whole competitiveness of kids sport. It's a difficult one, isn't it?
But
it's the kids wanting to be competitive. Yeah, it's the kids wanting to be competitive rather than being forced by the parents to the point where they just don't enjoy it, but they're doing it to keep the parents happy. But
there's a few pushy parents out there. We know that. We've dealt with a few, but there's a lot of kids wrapped up in cotton wool. I can tell you now that the Europeans out there, they're breeding winners, and they're not afraid of competition. And you win with grace, and be humble, and you also you lose at the same time. This whole non-competitive sports day really gets my goat a little bit. It's why we're not competitive anymore. Why is this country going into the realms of, it's not competitive, it's all about taking part? No, there's winners and there's losers, and that's life. That's why we create the competitions. That's why we have competitive waves. We don't discuss the elites as such because they're competitive. There's only one elite in the UK, and he lives in Norway.
Yeah, that's
controversy there. Have you not seen me out front of the Spartan Beast?
I have. I was there at that race. You remember? I watched you go around the corner and blow out your backside.
I've not heard you mention that, Kev. We should have brought that up before.
I also watched Paul Brenton dressed as a baby lead a pack out of the start gate of a Spartan race with his hands waving in the air with lots of people around him very competitively as he sprinted off and did exactly the same as you. It's one of the most funniest things I've ever seen.
You just can't take it seriously all the time, can you? Although no. Kevin, he finds it difficult not to. But yeah, but no. In all seriousness, it is good to have something there to bridge that gap. And now I have no doubt it's probably been a bit of a struggle sometimes for you and Emma and the others who have helped set it up to actually try and get organisations to take that side more seriously.
Yeah, I mean we look for sponsors. We don't shy away from that fact that a lot of the kids in the teams are sponsored. Amelia's sponsored. Evie sponsored, and these are from people outside of the OCR community. I've got an insurance broker that insures, not insures, they do insure her, but they sponsor Amelia. Emma's got an accountant's firm that sponsors Evie with her racing, and that really helps with the funding of everything. For races, for kit, we have sponsors in the way of Dry Robe, Kit Bricks, Innovate, Mudgear. They provide discount codes for us and kit. This all helps towards their progression of where they want to be and helps them in the sport that we love.
Yeah, takes
Our
the stress
team-
off
yeah.
the parents as well.
And our team members, they train on the OCR Junior Development Programme. Has this been set up, uses the correct standards, SLAs, which of all coaches and facilities have to comply with, and from a safety point of view, and the coaches have to produce qualification standards too.
Yeah.
You know, they train in the safe environments with some of the best coaches in the UK, as well as accessing other disciplines such as ninja training, parkour, running coaching. Everything we aim to do follows standards set by a sports governance. That's something that we are working really heavily with to get these kids to a standard. There's lots of fun runners out there, we know that, but these kids want to be competitive. They go for the prizes and the medals and the trophies, you know, in competitive waves as kids. So, and that's the future of this sport.
Yeah, definitely. It's there's definitely going to be obviously another generation that are going to come through as it's been passed down from, because at one stage it was mainly middle-aged people who were taking part in this, who wanted to get out of these sterile environments and have a new adventure. But obviously that's progressed now. The industry's progressed and it's evolved into.
Well, those people have grown up a bit, haven't they? And they've now got kids, and they want their kids to get involved. And
yeah, and pass it down to them.
That's why Joe sets up the Spartan family. You know, he offers those kids races for the kids to go to from the age of 5. He wants them involved. You look at the Spartan races in China, maybe not so much at the moment, but certainly from all their parents run with their kids, but the price of a kids race is double. Which is there's thousands that do it.
Yeah,
they're what's coming through. So you become that Spartan family. You've been racing Spartan for the last 10 years, let's say, like we have. Your kids are now doing it. Amelia's doing it. Ivy will come through and she'll do it. You know, the wife will even join in and do a sprint now and again.
When you twist her arm. So in terms of, like, you've just mentioned China, which kind of sends us nicely into what I wanted to ask you next. And it's, you've taken part in events like all around the globe, well, all over the place, really. Certainly outside the UK, which most people don't get opportunity to do. What would you say in terms of like what it had to offer and this, that, and the other? What would you say has been your favourite experience of just getting outside the UK and taking part in an OCR?
I mean, first of all, when I went to Canada for the OCRWC was at Blue Mountain. That first time walking out there, seeing the course, seeing that mountain, there was nothing like it. And the Team UK aspect of it, everybody there, the buzz, it was brilliant. So yeah, I'd say that was one of my most memorable experiences, seeing that. Then going to Spartan World Championships in Lake Tahoe. I'd say that was on another level again. Just to see how well organised it is, what a well-oiled machine, how they organise the elites coming through and the age groups, and how many people actually get involved in that.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal.
Logistics must be crazy but you don't always go to places that are quite as sort of brutal and what have you. You have been known to go to places a little bit more sort of sunny and holiday-like though as well.
Last year we went out to Mallorca for Sparta Mallorca, which was a fantastic weekend again. It was a nice little mini break for me and the wife, to be fair, and then happened to have a Spartan race, just so happens to have a Spartan race at Palma.
What were the chances of that?
I did plan it that way, that I sold it on the basis of, we're going to go away for your birthday weekend a month before your birthday. It's in March.
In terms of pricing, and I know you can't put a price on an experience and what have you, in terms of like going away for a weekend, having to get a hotel and this, that and the other in the UK, compared to going away to, say, Mallorca to go in for a long weekend and racing, how much difference was it in terms of price? And I'm not saying you might have stayed in a five-star hotel or whatever, and if you didn't, then
I stayed in Airbnb when I went last year. It was brilliant, right in the middle of Palma, £40 a night.
Yeah.
So compared with a Premier Inn, you're probably saving money. However, because I was there for 3 nights at £40 a night, it's £120, and then you've got the flights on top, which are £100 each. So yeah, you will spend a little bit more, but then you are getting a weekend out of it. If you were to fly in and out in a day or 24 hours turnaround, then yeah, you can do it cheap.
I think you're kind of missing out on a bit of an experience that's the benefit of going away and racing somewhere different there, though, aren't you? If you came back too soon.
Yeah, I went with a team member. I went out with Richard Holden and his wife, and I'd got myself and Natalie. So the 4 of us went out on the Friday morning. We flew back at Monday lunchtime. Fantastic opportunity to go away, spend time with quality people, enjoy Palmer City, the old town, and also get in a Spartan race. It was their first race of their OCR season as such. So Spartan series race. There was thousands there. Yeah. It was brilliant.
And did it seem similar to how the UK is in terms of organisation and things, or was there quite a big difference?
There is a little bit similar, but then when you get to the podiums at the end, they start with the eldest, and they do it in reverse, and they get the male and female up together. So you're not waiting around as long, but you're also waiting for the elites, if you like, at the end. So it just keeps people there longer, and the atmosphere
that
and the
makes
buzz.
sense.
So in the UK, and it's still a great way of doing it, they'll get the elites out of the way a couple of hours before the rest of the podiums. So they'll be done at 11:30, 12, and then at 1, 2 o'clock we'll do the rest of the age categories, if you like. But it's done in the youngest first and goes up to the eldest. So Richard Holden's always waiting till the end.
Yeah, so I suppose you don't. You don't mind it so much though if you stood in the sunshine and in the nice surroundings and stuff. If it's wet, windy, and you're in the middle of Scotland somewhere on a hill, you probably want to get them elites out of the way quite quickly anyway.
Do, to be fair.
Else they're gonna bugger off home, aren't they? Basically,
yeah.
You're not gonna get. But that's quite cool. And have you taken part in the Euros as well, Paul?
I haven't. Eddie always took that up when his sat nav's working. But,
Eddie's. We'll not ask Eddie about that because obviously he struggles getting lost and what have you. So
he's never going to live it down, is he? Let's be honest. But he's a good sport, and he always goes out, and the Euros are his bag. And Emma will go out to the Euros with Evie and Maddie and all the rest of it. So it's one that I've not really ventured out to. Yeah, I
suppose it's the competitive one, really, isn't it? And if you like that one aspect, If you like being a ninja and a monkey, then you're going to absolutely love that sort of course that they put together. Whereas a lot of people shy away from that sort of thing, like the competitive aspect. I know I say this every single episode, but it's just not for me. It's not something that drives me. Like Kevin, if we were sat eating a Twix in car, he'd want to eat it first because he's so. That's the sort of person
I'd never beat you in eating a Twix.
Come on. Not have a Twix with a cup of tea and bite both ends off and then suck the tea through the Twix.
You'd never catch me eating a Twix. My body is a temple, so unfortunately, I've never been able to.
I've got the body of a god. Shame it's Buddha.
So in terms of like the industry and what you've been able to see from other areas and what have you taking part in the World Champs, being lucky enough to take part in World Championships and multiple World Championships in terms of like Spartan and the Adventure World Champs over in Canada as well. But then have you taken part in the World Champs in the UK when it's been in the UK?
I did the short course and the team event.
So I
also did the charity run as well. So
how would you say that they compared? Are there elements that if you got to choose one over the other, which one would you sort of gravitate towards straight away?
Blue Mountain all day long, and that's nothing against Nuclear Course because I think it's a tremendously hard course that they put on. I just think it was the village, it was the skiing village where you go to where everybody is together. You've got the different shops, the restaurants, the bars, all together, and your hotels are all above this. The start line, where you can see your start line from your hotel room. You go to the back of your room and you can see the finish line.
Yeah,
It was that kind of thing.
Off-season ski resorts, which is basically what they're using and utilising, lend themselves perfectly to that sort of event. And because the only other thing really I think that they put on it that time of year is mountain biking events and things like that. So it is the perfect location because it's everything that we need. There's access, there's terrain,
it's
and
somewhere
then
you
there's
can
facilities.
take the family.
Yeah.
I'd be quite happy to take the family out to Blue Mountain or Lake Tahoe, for example, because there's things for them to do in the day.
Yeah, and knowing that they've got everything they need in terms of facilities and what have you.
Yeah.
I think being a Brit as well and going abroad, there's always that element of it's a little bit more exciting to go somewhere else to race compared to
100%.
doing it. That's probably why you kind of
everyone's done nuclear races before, so it doesn't seem, although it's a fantastic place and the obstacles are superb, it doesn't seem special because you've done it before. You've been there, done that.
There's a little bit of a home advantage as well for those people that train there or that have run it many times before in the past. So they'll get to know different parts of the course, where's quicker, where's not. You turn up at Lake Tahoe, you turn up at Blue Mountain or another ski resort, it's not so easy for you to go and run that previously.
Because it's not a full-time course, so no one
Correct.
gets access to that, do they? Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess that aspect does. I think being able to put the logistics in place, it helps because there's a full-time course in terms of race logistics, because it's already so tried and tested. So there's none of that. You've not got to iron out any different bits and bobs to get things to run quite smoothly. Compared to putting it somewhere that there's not ordinarily a OCR there, so setup times are probably longer and what have you. But yeah, that makes total sense. And
yeah, I guess that depends on what they're bringing in. I mean, over at OCRWC, Blue Mountain you'd got Platinum Rig coming in and setting up a couple of their bits. You got Indian Mud Run setting up theirs. Not too dissimilar to a Mud 7 scenario, where you've got other race directors coming with their best obstacles. And that gave it that edge of, obviously the people in America had seen these things before, but we hadn't. We didn't know what a platinum rig was, how to get from one end to the other. Something new, nice, there we go. A real challenge for some.
Yeah.
And some that just didn't want to give their bands up and walk away from it, and had so many attempts on it. I mean, I only completed one of the platinum rigs. I failed the second, but it was still a challenge.
I suppose when you've invested so much money into going somewhere as an experience as well, you're going to want to get everything out of that. And that's probably a reason that people take it so much more seriously in terms of like the amount of people we would have got taking part while it was down at Nuclear from the UK compared to the ones that would have taken part if it was Blue Mountain from the UK must be dramatically different, because there's going to be ones who, I've qualified and it's just down road, I might as well do it anyway. But then if it's Blue Mountain, it's not that situation. It's like it's flights, it's hotels, it's a big investment into
it was actually not as expensive as people think to go out to Toronto and then hire a car or jump in with other people and get up to Blue Mountain. I mean, the flights were £350 return. I spent more than that on a hotel.
It was probably cheaper than, I was going to say, it probably cheaper than some hotels around Brentwood, because we had
a chalet that slept 6 of us, so it was £200 each for 5 nights accommodation.
This Blue Mountain, which is
so basically you're looking at £1,000 to do everything. That's return flights, that's your races, that's your accommodation, and some spending money.
Which is still, for most, that's still a big investment, but for what you're getting from it, it's obviously well worthwhile, because it's a life experience. There's not many that are on par with that only cost that amount of money. Yeah.
Plus the fact that all the Brits were queuing out the door for merchandise.
Yeah.
In Blue Mountain.
So they would have cashed in nicely from that one. So in terms of the industry and where we are now and how things are progressing, and we've obviously got the federation now in the UK, what are your thoughts on the federation, and how have they been supporting you and the OCR juniors, and how is that all working out?
Well, Emma sits on the panel, so yeah, is the simple answer. I think the federation is a great way to go. It gives some stability. It's a lot of people won't agree with it, but I think give that time. It's going to be a recognised sport, and the only way to do that is to have the federation in place. And there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there. There's a lot of people that can talk a lot of talk.
Yeah.
And can't they talk a lot of talk, but they're not prepared to walk the walk.
I think they've got to legitimise it.
Those people that have put themselves on that panel, hats off to them. Fair play. That's I know personally Emma she's got a reputation to protect. She's not going to put herself forward for something she doesn't believe in.
It's a tough one, because obviously with the associations in the past that have tried to take it on, they muddied the waters, shall we say, and it were a bit of a poison chalice. So whoever were going to take it on,
there's no no hiding the fact that I tried to help before.
Yeah,
and some of the ideas were taken on, some not, but it was we're going to hide into nothing with what was going on, and that was a shame. So
I think previously they all started with the best intentions, didn't they? As well, it's just over
everything
time.
Everything does, but as it progresses, people think that they can do it better, and you have to have a lead role on it. But let's get the governance in place. Let's get it a recognised sport, and then you can start having qualifications and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it does help the industry. It does, like I say, does legitimise it, and then eventually leads on to it being a recognised sport and what have you. And these guys, like, I'm someone who steps back from something until I can see that it's doing right by the people who are already there, the community and what have you. And this is the only one so far. And I do feel guilty for this, but it's the only one so far that I've felt like I can get behind, because of the way some of the ones, like the associations in the past, have acted, and you could sort of get a bit of a sense that it weren't for the right intentions. Because it does have to be, long and short of it, it has to be a labour of love for the people who are there. It's not like they're getting
nobody's getting paid for this.
So it's exactly. So it's a
getting
definite labour of love, isn't it?
For spending hours producing documents or SLAs or partnership agreements. Nobody's having anything out of that. Now, this week, or is it last week, they've just launched their membership program.
Yeah.
You've got to pay £10 to be a member, and that'll give you access to this, that, and the other. So, if it gives you access to discounts as well, great. But realistically, if it's to recognise people, to get their details as members, because as we know from the initial meeting, they need 1,600 members.
Yeah.
Within that 2-year period or whatever it was.
And for those people who don't know, why do they need those?
That's just for it to become a recognised sport, you have to have so many minimum members.
Yep. Which makes sense, and it's hopefully they will get to that, because I think we do need it, and as long as they stay on the course that they're on now and they don't do anything stupid, which I can't imagine they would do.
Take 10% of every OCR forum out there. You've got 6,000 members or 8,000 members on Wrongans. Take 10% of those people, or 5% of those people. Take the UK OCR forum page, 10,000, 12,000 people on there. It won't take long to get to 1,600 if everybody just, let's have this £10 membership.
Yeah.
I think it's easier said than done, though.
It is, exactly. When you do figures like that, it is definitely, it sounds it, but we've seen it with our subscriptions and race packages and stuff like that.
Do they have to be paying members? Does it have to be a paid membership?
I don't know. I don't think it does.
Obviously, they need money to cover costs and expenses and things, but to get those 1,600 members, obviously easier if you had like a...
If you could put it as part of a race subscription, or if you're registering for not race subscription, a magazine subscription, that you become a member if you subscribe to the magazine. If you have a race registration, then you become a member when you register for that certain race.
To be honest, we were open to discussions on that, but no one ever approached us. Just to put it out there, they kind of went down the route with Mudstickle were going to look after their registrations, and then they moved away from it. So when we saw that Mudstickle were in the mix, we didn't even bother pursuing it. So, and then now they've changed, but we'd have been, because that would have got them there in terms of.
I mean, the other way of looking at it is look at what Nick's done with the league. You know, you can register for the league.
Yeah, it's a tough one because there is such a small section of people that that are competitive, but then want to be seen as competitive. It's always going to be tough to get them into. Because although, like, I've read everything that Nick's put forward about the league, and it's not just for the competitive people in the community, don't get me wrong,
no.
But they're going to be the ones that are automatically gravitated towards that sort of thing because they want to be recognised for their achievements. The people who don't take it as seriously don't really care about being in league tables for anything, whether it's seriously competitive or not.
Well, we have a Cliff Lakes Parkrun League. Now that's a serious league, I can tell you that.
But Parkrun's not a race.
No, it's not.
Don't let the founders hear you saying that. You'll be in trouble.
There's a record, so there must be some sort of.
It's not a race, though, Kevin.
It's not a race.
What?
Okay.
But, go back onto that 1,600 people. Be interesting to know how many people regularly take part in OCRs. So, like you say, there's lots of people on these groups all throughout Facebook, but how many of those do one race a year or two a year? Are they classed then as regular OCR people? How many people actually do at least one race a month, or like 10 plus a year?
I'd say 90% of all the UK OCR page now have probably moved on to other things. They're just members of that group. There's a lot of people that have now gone into triathlons, or they're doing road running, or they've found open water swimming, doing other things.
Yeah, there's definitely an evolution. There's been an evolution over the last probably 5 years. For the first 3 years, we had similar people subscribing to the magazine. You knew you had that base of the same people, and then you'd get a load of new people on top of them. But now what we find is 90% of the people who are subscribing to the magazine for us are brand new to us. So you can definitely see that the ones that were around for probably the first 3 years of that 5, they've dispersed, found other adventures, or gone off to
families.
Gone off to do other bits and pieces, different focuses. So now it's even a different set of people that we are speaking to through the magazine and through this podcast and through our email databases and stuff. It's a different set of people. And it is strange to see that. So for a league to try and gather together what is such a small percentage of the community that they're going to be able to reach in the first place, who are interested enough in OCR for them to want to be part of a league, it's going to be really tough. There's no other way of looking at it. It's going to be hard. Same with the memberships for the memberships for the federation. It's going to be tough to get to that 1,600 without lots of racers getting behind you in terms of blasting it out to their email lists, putting it out to the people who've taken part. Like, who they really need behind them is probably someone like the OCR World Championships.
Yeah.
Just simply sending an email out to the competitors who've taken part in the event for the last 2 years down at Nuclear in Essex. A couple of simple email blasts to them would probably provide them with the majority of people they're going to need towards that 1,600. Mm-hmm. And then the rest they're going to have to just do like everyone else does and fight tooth and claw to get them in. But if they got behind them, but the trouble is it's adventure, it's an independent. It depends whether they're going to align with what the federation. It looks like they are, but the trouble is adventure is a totally separate entity, and the federation and the international federation have set up their own world championships now. So that means this kind of a competing entity. So the likelihood of them passing on that information is going to be a little bit slimmer. I don't know if they've spoke about it, but
yeah, I mean it's well, we'll see where that goes. I'm sure we could have an hour or two on that discussion right there.
Yeah.
And Coventry are a business at the end of the day, and they're a very successful business. Some great people that work there, and the world champs as we know it we'll see what happens. Don't forget the Spartan have a world champs, but Coventry still, it still competes in the same. They're not competition as such, but it's different courses, aren't they?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially because obviously World Champs is moving back over the pond again, and then we've got the Federations World Championships. They're going over to Russia. Nothing's been said any different, and it's not been changed as far as I know. And even though there were people did kick up a bit of a stink and what have you about it being there.
Well, you've got Spartan have got their World Champs in Abu Dhabi. You've got Russia World Champs, so you've got an American World Champs.
So you can get in plenty of air miles.
Take your pick.
Yeah, exactly.
Which one's got the highest prize money?
Wow. Yeah, it's. I guess because they're all different months, you'll get the same winner at each one. Maybe. Who knows?
It would be quite cool to see
John.
51-22
for the dog bark. If anyone's listening in.
but it would be good to see John sort of get all three. It would be cool, but I don't know where John is now with OCR, because obviously he's been putting a hell of a lot more focus into his sky running, trail running, stuff like that, because they are seen as more legitimate sports. Although there's probably similar sort of sponsorship levels. That's the trouble. Unless you break into that real sort
he
of
doesn't get paid for
level.
the Sky Team GB stuff, does he? Now he can't take a purse for that. So they'll be still looking for ways to take some prize funds, surely.
Yeah. Well,
he really enjoys OCR as well, doesn't he? So
he does, yeah. And Ryan's always been, hot on his heels. Let's be honest, the last couple of world champs. So it'd be nice to see another year of that kicking off.
Yeah. And Ryan basically took over where Ross McDonald left off, didn't he? And sort of is nipping away at John's heels all the time, keeping John moving forwards, because there were a time, probably 2000 and maybe 16, where John was just unbeatable. There was no one really around to sort of really push him in terms of where he'd been used to, which is the UK scene, because there just weren't anyone.
Yeah, I think that was 2015, really, 16, when they Ryan was first in the short course and then second in the main course over at Blue Mountain. So they sort of shared the prize fund there. It was like $14,000 each for a weekend's work. Thanks for coming. Then they partnered up a month later at the World's Tough Mudder as a partnership, and took the 100,000 purse between them.
Which is obviously
fantastic
a real
achievement,
payday.
Massively, yeah, of course it is. But it's also, who was coming close? 105 miles. Wow.
Yeah. It's absolutely madness, isn't it? It's
crazy.
Just out of this world, sort of. Especially when most people struggle to be able to put in 100 miles in the first place. Never mind 100 miles and obstacles and awful terrain.
Exactly. Obviously, that was between
the two of them, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, 50 each.
So it's not as much of a feat, Carl.
Yeah,
I think if
you two would be good at that.
Little and large take on the world's toughest mudder, but yeah, it is good, and to see looking at where the industry's going now, and where it might go in the future.
I think there's been a big change. I think you'll see. Look at Hunter. He's gone off to High Rocks. I mean, he's making waves over there. That's a fantastic thing that's coming through,
which is way more suited to him anyway. Really,
exactly. It's not the CrossFit. It's that hybrid of it, and I think you'll see a lot more of that moving forward. That fitness element to it. I think you'll find the technical side for OCR in Europe will continue to grow, and
get harder. You think?
I think it will do. Yeah. It's more ninja course.
It's hard to imagine.
It's I mean, from what I saw from the last couple of Euros, it's very technical, and Eddie comes back and gives us his full report. on how he thinks, and he can fly from A to B, across obstacles without thinking about it. But some of them he said, they get it tougher out there.
Yeah. So how in terms of that's the format of OCRs, and I do agree as well. Like Rocket Race are delving into that sort of area this year with their event that's a bit of a
their
hybrid.
Events are going to be superb this year. I mean, David's really putting it all out there.
He is. Yeah.
He's giving up his full-time role. He's going as an RD full-time, 4 events. He's got to make it work. He will make it work. His drive is just he's more than ever. I mean, we speak quite regular.
Sometimes that step is what people need in terms of business, because it's a make or break step. It means you have to do it, and there's that drive there from the start, isn't there? But then there's also superhuman events as well. They put on a hybrid event as well, and they're doing so they've always done sort of strongman events that have got like the CrossFit aspect to them, and then they've had an element to it that's been an OCR course sort of thing, an obstacle course towards the end of it. But then this year they've also got an event that is specifically designed to cater for OCR runners, which is quite cool. So it's good to see those popping up, and like you say,
we've got a local one in Nuneaton that I know that Stuart Neal's a big fan of. The Complete Outdoor Fitness crew put on their Complete Warrior weekend. They're doing that over 2 weekends in July, where they'll have a partner course, same-sex partner course going on, and that's fitness and mixed in with OCR, because we lend them the obstacles and bits and pieces for that OCR bit. We do that to help out. We don't charge for that. We like to help it, other people. Yeah, we've always been renowned for that.
Which is the only way the industry would actually revolve in, sort of be able to keep on going the way it is in the UK for most event organisers, because it's just so grassroots. People just don't realise how it is. It's not a full-time job for anybody. We've sort of said this on podcasts before.
Look, let's
a massive
one
hobby.
thing clear. This when I started Cliff Lakes, it was a hobby to help people, to continue my promise to Karen to help others on their journey.
Yeah,
I was very fortunate to have that team around me, like I said. But it is a hobby, and when it starts costing you a lot of money for that hobby, and I'm not talking a couple of £100 just to put a course on, I'm talking thousands of pounds every year to lay the course on for the insurance. You've got to have the correct insurance in place. You've got to have the correct health and safety in place. You've got to have your risk assessments, your emergency access plans, everything like that. If you've got water out there, you've got to get it tested. It's just constantly. And you're saying, well, this is a hobby. I'm not making any money. I'm covering the costs. But there is a breaking point.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like Kevin, he's definitely done it for the love. It's not a profit-making exercise, it really isn't. I'm lucky enough that I can sort of make a living out of it. Kevin's never done that. He's still...
Well, he eats pies for a living.
Basically, he looks after pies on a daily basis, and now he's moved into pies and desserts. So he's happy as Larry. He's going to be absolutely massive by next year.
I don't know who this Larry is, but he's laughing his socks off at the TV footage of Kevin eating pies and vegan sausage rolls, I can tell you.
So, Paul, in these feature-length episodes, what we want to do is, with the guests who we feel will sort of benefit from it, who've got something to say, we're going to give them 30 seconds.
30?
30.
You told me 60 seconds at the start.
How much do you want that 60 seconds?
No, okay. David only had 30. You're only getting 30. That's enough time.
Kevin's put his foot down. So you've got 30 seconds to get something either off your chest or out to listeners. This can be sort of promote something that you've got coming up, something that people maybe don't know about already, or an aspect of OCR that you feel needs more awareness. So yeah, basically I'm just going to line you up for 30 seconds worth of rambling.
I've got 2 30 seconds bits really. One's about the OCR community, but one's about my own stuff. So
go on then, are you ready?
Which one shall I pick?
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so this year we are launching Fortis endurance events with an event called Fortitude on August the 22nd. You will either pick 13 or 24 hours. The choice is yours. It's at a location in the Midlands. You will be put to the test. Have you got what it takes? 4, 3, 2, 1.
Done.
Beautifully timed, Paul. Beautifully timed. Right, so what's it called? Sorry, Fortis.
So Fortis endurance events.
Yeah.
So myself and Dom Odell, people recognise that name from Spartan Endurance and Hurricane Heats, and Carl Holyoake. So Carl Holyoake's fitness is like a machine. Anyone that doesn't know him or see him on Instagram, he's our team captain for Cliff Lakes. No excuses. And we've teaming up to put on an event over 24 hours to really test their fitness levels, basically, and get in the mines and work on a few other different things. It will be very, very different to what people have experienced before.
So what, in terms of what it's like, is it going to be like a Spartan Hurricane Heat, or is it going to be like a 24-hour boot camp, or what's it likened to? Or can you not give people details of it's just a test? I can't really give
too much away.
Okay.
But it will be a mix of a lot of things, but it will be unique in what we offer.
And when's this taking place, Paul?
22nd of August.
22nd. So it's actually it's a warm time of year, so you're not going to be able to freeze people to death. So that's not too bad, actually. That's probably a nice time of year to do it.
Yeah.
Sunbathing.
We're only taking 40 people on this maximum.
Okay. And are entries already open for that, or are they
No,
due to open?
They go live on the 10th of March at
10th
9
of
o'clock.
March, okay.
Yeah.
So what are we on? So we're speaking now on the 4th. Hopefully I'll be able to get this live on the 6th of March. So then 4 days' time from when you're listening
next
to this.
Tuesday.
Yeah, cool. So you'll be
10th of March, 9 o'clock.
And what's the price? Sorry, Paul, did you say?
So we've got the 13 hours will be £100.
Yep.
The 24 hours is £150.
Yeah. And
if they join as a partner, with a partner, and that's only for 24 hours only, it's £250.
Okay. So it's what I always describe it is, in terms of an experience, it's a reasonable investment of cash, because people can look at those and think, I can get such and such race entries for this, that, and the other. But
this will only suit a certain group of people.
Yeah. And it's more of a life experience.
They will learn skills from it.
Yeah.
They will take a lot away from this, both physically, mentally, with their skill sets. Yeah.
That's quite cool. I like it. I like the sound of it. Maybe should we raid piggy banks and put Kevin? Kevin would obviously enjoy that, wouldn't you, Kev?
I think I'm on holiday 22nd of March. August, sorry.
Oh, yeah? Are you really, or are you actually making that up?
I think you're just making that up.
I think he's making it up, isn't he? Although, even if he's not, he probably will book a holiday specifically.
I need a bit more time training.
No, you'll be surprised.
5.5 months isn't quite enough.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, but
you should come to a no excuses session.
Exactly.
We've just started doing the sick now, actually, which we're going to be putting out once or maybe twice a month. So that's a 2.5 hour session. So we did our first one on Sunday, which went down really well. We had 10 people come along, and they didn't know what they were getting into. We did a memory test. We did a fantastic warm-up inside No Excuses facility, and then we took them out on a hack with telegraph poles. They had to do carry. They had a series of tests to do. But bearing in mind they had this memory test, so when we got back to base, they had to repeat the code that they'd been given for their month of birth, which caught a lot of them out. So we only had 3 people lose their band, but everybody walked away with a strike against them. So hopefully we'll be taking a few more bands at the next Signa. So the No Excuses Signa is 2.5 hours of, at minimum 2 hours, but it worked out to be about 2.5 hours of different skill sets and strength and partner work and teamwork and a few time hacks for individuals as well. So
it's kind of a scaled version of what potentially to get them ready for what they could be facing?
To be honest, it will get them ready for a hurricane heat. It'll get them ready for something like Unbreakable. I know Matt Smebs and Ben are doing that. That looks a good event to come up. So looking forward to seeing the results on that and who is actually unbreakable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will get people in a different form of exercise, testing themselves. You know, we partner people up at the start, not every time, but you know, trying to get the similar sizes and weights. So they're doing partner carries over a series of distances. A real test.
Yeah, I think the biggest hurdle that needs to be overcome with those sort of events, that from the outside looking in, is the amount of people who sign up and then drop out just before getting people to actually take on the event.
Getting in the mindset from the beginning.
Yeah.
What you know, that unknown, that excitement, you take that energy and use it with your training. If you want to be pushed and you want a different form of exercising and fitness, and you want to take it to the next level, then get yourself along to No Excuses in the Signa, because that's where it's at now.
Yeah, and the No Excuses gym, is it it's Tamworth based?
So it's Polesworth, North Warwickshire, which is near Tamworth. It's not too far from Cliff Lakes. So we're in the Midlands, and we work on fitness levels. We do performance circuit training. We work with cardio, core. We work on different skill sets as well, obviously with the indoor rig. And we can give that advice and guidance on all of that. All of our coaches are PT level 3. So we're fully insured. And we can take juniors on as well. We're all DBS checked. So we've had different. We have ladies only classes. We have a family class on a Wednesday with Louise and stuff like that. So families come down and bring they train with their kids from like 6:30 for an hour. It's getting people out. It's getting people active. But on the weekends we're a bit more relaxed, where we have a workout on the board. On a Saturday we're open for 2 hours, 10 till 12. Come down. It's £5 each. It's pretty simple. And then on a Sunday we do a mini outdoor training session, so 75 minutes. We take people out and get people exercising outside, get them outdoors.
So perfect for anyone who's got like an OCR coming up and they don't just want to do the traditional obstacle after obstacle course sort of situation training centre. It just gives them a different element.
It's exactly what we found down at Cliff Lakes, and it was part of my decision to shut the gates down there. Okay, the rising costs of insurance and rent and all the rest of it, but anyone can get over a wall. Yeah, we can teach that. That's fine. It's your fitness level. When you're out on course, you're doing 10K, 15K. If your fitness levels aren't up there, you're just going to end up walking around the course and probably not enjoying it.
Yeah.
But if you can get your fitness levels up, and people start seeing results from their fitness level, where their body's changing and they're getting fitter, then actually getting around the course is just that little bit easier, and getting over a wall, well, it's just second nature then.
Yeah, but I think with any sort of training, there's that element of where something becomes enjoyable. That's when that light bulb moment comes, and you actually start to really get into something. Yeah. If you're enjoying it, it's obviously draws you back in again and again. So, Paul, have you got anything else that you'd like to discuss with us?
No, not really, other than the fact that just keep booking those races early. Use your credit card. Get booked onto the independents. Not only Spartan and Tough Mudder, but Rocket Race. Get on it. You need to book up. Get committed. Especially
with like Rocket. I know seeing as you've used that as an example, it's like £120 or something for a season pass for them, and you get something like 4 or 5 events.
4 events,
cheap, and it's ridiculous because just 2 of the events alone are worth easily that, and you're getting 4, and it's crackers that they haven't already gone. But I don't know. I think it is a lot to do with you're having to tap into brand new people, like we said earlier on. Like we found with our subscriptions, it's new people coming through the doors.
Yeah,
a lot of it, rather than selling to the same people.
You guys do really well with your charity work. You're bringing a lot of new people into Mud 7 that have never experienced anything before. Hence the reason why you've got 7 race directors putting on their event to hopefully get them to their races. That's the idea behind it.
Exactly.
Nuclear have got a fantastic setup there. There's no two ways about it. A season pass for Nuclear and all the races that they're putting on at the moment, brilliant, absolutely second to none. I'd say the best in the UK to a degree. Then you go southwest and you've got a fantastic event with David down at Rocket. So I know there are other events out there and available, but I'm just picking on a couple.
No. I think people understand that. You can't obviously mention them all. There's just too many of them, and
yeah. I mean, you look at Rat Race. Started in 2006. Been going 14 years. Well, 2004 did it start? 16 years been going. Fantastic series, but he's always stayed as an adventure race, adventure company. And you look at that series now where you do man versus coast, man versus lakes, man versus mountain. We've got one of our team, Dan Hiscote, going out to Panama.
Yeah,
fantastic for him. What an adventure!
Yeah, it's all once in a lifetime stuff, isn't it? Now that they're basically putting their energy
I was sat with
into.
Jim. Fortunately, lucky enough to have dinner with Jim and his good wife, and we sat there and he's showing me, a live satellite link to the guys that are in Panama in the jungle at the moment. People think they just put these events on. This is months and months in the making.
Yeah.
And he's got them out there trekking. He's got armies on standby with helicopters and all sorts. That stuff doesn't come cheap. I can tell you
logistics the logistics are a different world, aren't they? Yeah. It may be smaller numbers in terms of participants, but that's why the prices are premium, because obviously there is so much that needs to be put into them.
I mean, you promoted the world's highest OCR today. I noticed, and it's big premiums, but it's that experience, it's that adventure people are looking for. It's that once in a lifetime. Danny Hiscote's going running across Panama through a jungle. All the risks are there.
With the since you mentioned world's highest OCR, I'm hugely surprised that hasn't sold out straight away. It although it is a premium, when you look at how much it is usually, so if people don't know what the world's highest OCR is, it's actually an event that's being put on in the crater at the top of Kilimanjaro. So you trek up to the top of Kilimanjaro as a group over a few days. You get into the crater, you get to take on what is like a mini obstacle course race, and then you trek so far down, and if you want to, you can trek all the way. If you don't, you can have a helicopter ride from sort of whatever point it is, 3/4 of the way down. There's a big after party. There's all this stuff. So you get access to the crater that a lot of people don't usually ever get access to, and get to take on an OCR in there. So ordinarily, people would spend a similar amount just to trek up there and not have access to the crater, not have an after party, not be able to get this like helicopter chauffeur-driven experience and things. And I think it's just mad that it hasn't sold out straight away.
You're just appealing to the select few, though, aren't you?
Yeah.
Would you?
And it's getting the word out as well.
Would you go?
I would personally, if I thought I could.
Would you go, Kev?
If I had the money.
Yeah, and there you go. Yeah. That's the big thing. If I got
a lot of people would. A lot of people would.
We'd do everything, wouldn't we, if we got the money?
And time away from home as well. It's something like, I think when I was speaking
that's
to
worth
Rob,
the fee on its own, isn't it?
What,
yeah.
I think it's like 16 days though.
16
days away from home, something like that.
So you got to get 3 weeks off work.
And then family. And like for me personally, that would mean someone having to try and do school runs and all that sort of stuff for that amount of time would be near on impossible. That'd be a logistical nightmare on its own. Yeah. The race would seem easy compared to trying to sort family stuff out, sort of thing. But I think that's also...
And that's the thing, a lot of people would love to do it. I'd love to go and do Spartan Hawaii.
Yeah.
It'd be fantastic. The cost of it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just not possible for me to go and do that one. But I can go to Spartan Mallorca for a weekend.
Like if you're doing
good luck to everyone this weekend doing it.
Yeah, I think if you're doing a once-in-a-lifetime thing, it's kind of got to be a focus for maybe the year rather than taking on anything else.
Well, I know from the experience of Daniel that he's in a group with the other rat racers that are doing it, and they have training regimes, and he has to go out and train wet. He has to go out soaking wet just so he can get used to running in wet trousers and clothes and stuff like that, and with backpacks on. And there's a lot of things that they have to do in preparation, and they're working well as a team. And he's got what it takes. So he's focused. He's been focused for a long time. But that is his big one. I mean, he's had to step back now from doing the Park Run League for Cliff Lakes, so he can concentrate on doing his Panama adventure.
Yeah,
and fair play to him. It's fantastic to have someone out there.
It is a quite cool adventure for someone to have, and it's sensible, obviously, from the point of view of the RDs and what have you, to be able to set them up with training plans and that. Because if someone comes along and they aren't prepared, they're just going to be a sort of Achilles heel to the entire group, aren't they? They're going to be
Massively.
lagging behind and
whatever. This is what we've noticed in OCRs. We get people ready for that. We always did do it at Cliff Lakes. We have a training regime where we come and see us, and 6 to 8 weeks of training. I mean, Jade's doing a great job. Jade Skillen is now doing a 6 weeks get race ready nutrition and training plan with JS Fitness. Brilliant. Anyone looking to get on board with that, go and visit her page, because that is superb.
Yeah, definitely. Right, Paul, it's been absolutely wonderful speaking to you.
Indeed, it's been a pleasure, gents.
On this episode,
Watching Kev nearly fall asleep.
Yeah, we do appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Right, thank you very much for listening to this episode. If you haven't picked up your subscription yet for the magazine, they are changing, so they'll probably, by the time you listen to this, may have already put the wheels in motion in terms of swapping them down and stripping them out to the the less complex subscriptions, so the less options will be there. So hopefully you've grabbed yours. Don't come along and say that we didn't give you fair warning. Mud 7, don't forget to get yourself signed up for our in-house event, August 8th this year. 7 different race organisations all coming along, putting together a kilometre of the course each and bringing along their favourite obstacles. So that's one you're not going to want to miss. That's it, www.mud7.com. So all that's left to say is thank you very much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to click the subscribe button on whatever directory you're listening. And thank you very much, Paul, for joining us. And
thank you very much for having me, gents.
No worries
at all. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you, Kevin, as well.
Good night.
Thanks,
Good
Kev.
night, gents. Cheers. Thanks a lot. Bye.